Hey YouTube, this is Pecktec. Today Hey YouTube, this is Pecktec, and today I'm taking down two of my more iconic tanks, the Face Tank and the Fluval Spec 5-gallon. Both of these tanks have been running a really long time, especially for the size tank that they are, and I felt like it was time to just move on. There's absolutely nothing wrong with these tanks. In fact, the Fluval Spec 5-gallon has been pretty much on automatic, with just a few shrimp in there and a place for the Anubis and the other stuff to grow. I had a new project coming up, and that new project meant that things had to be displaced and moved around. And I decided it was time to change some things up. The Face Tank was doing okay, but it wasn't performing optimally, and I've learned a lot of stuff since I built that tank back in 2017, I think. So I thought it was time to maybe bid them farewell. Take all the great plants that I've grown out of both of those. Both of those tanks are full of plants that I'm going to implement in my very next project. The tank behind me got a partial redo. It was sort of cleaned up, but it wasn't actually in that bad a shape. Adding lots and lots of frog bit seems to have really helped this thing kind of move along. In the end of the montage part of this is that I added a filter that was in the Spec 5-gallon, and it's like, since I've added that, it has been even better. Like, it's super clear. That mature filter must have been in just great shape, because when I put it in here, this tank has been better than it's ever been before. I'm going to talk more about this tank and the other tanks in just a second, but I'd like to do a quick shout out to my Patreon friends. You guys have stepped up month after month to help me out, and I really appreciate it. And I'm not just talking about my current Patreons. I'm talking about my past Patreons. I'm talking about the people that gave me like a 1-month donation. I've got a lot of donations even through PayPal. If you want to just donate one time to kind of help out the show, I'll put your name in the credits and tell you how much I appreciate you, which I do. But yes, contributors, past, present, and future, I really appreciate you. When I was interviewing Jeff at Aquashella in Chicago, we were talking a little bit about how he's only got so much room for his show tank. So he gets his show tank up to a certain point, and then he breaks it down. Like, he gets it to where he gets that perfect photograph, and when he feels like it's as good as it's going to be, he takes his shot. And then he sends it on, and he breaks it down, and he makes another tank for another event or another, competition. Tanks require a great deal of patience, and some people are well inclined to take their tank and build it and keep it for years and years and years. I have a feeling that the Spec 5-gallon probably could have gone on for another 5 or 6 years. The equipment on it worked really well. The light grew plants just fine. It wouldn't be bright enough for a lot of things, but it kept some Monte Carlo carpet growing really slowly. It helped that Anubias that I had grow nice and slow, and so it didn't get a lot of damage. Too much light on things like Anubias cause them to get all algified, and after a certain point you just cut the leaf off because it's hindering the rest of the plant. It seems like I don't do straight up product reviews anymore. Like, I'll demonstrate products and then I kind of use them, and I'll let you judge for yourself. I mean, you can see what stuff I've had on there. It's like with the Face Tank, it's pretty much everything that was on there when I started it was on there at the end. So it had the exact same Fluval light and that kind of tank and the Aqua Clear 20 filter. And then of course the spec pretty much as it is out of the box with some different substrate. Both of those tanks did really well. The way I set them up worked and kept them going for a long time. But now I need some plants, and we're going to pull them out. I sound very defiant. I'm very defiant right now. I'm going to pull them out. I'm going to pull those plants. Let's take a look. All right, here's one last look at the Fluval Spec 5-gallon. This has been a great tank. The light on it works exceptionally well. I have recently, I've just kind of let the frog bit go in here, so you can see it's quite overrun with frog bit right through here. I did have some minute amounts of algae and stuff to deal with in here, so I let that go to kind of minimize any effect, and it's doing really good in here. The carpet down here. This is all Monte Carlo, no CO2, no ferts or anything. Uh, just Monte Carlo growing in really well. I'm going to be transferring that to the new tank. And of course this massive Anubias, uh, which went in. I think the Monte Carlo also went in when this tank was first done. There's a video called Mini Gardens on my channel. I think I have a playlist called Fluval Spec Videos, and it's in there. That's when this tank was originally set up. So it's been several years, and I'm just ready to do something else. I'll be combining a bunch of tanks together, and this is just one of the tanks that's going to go together. And I'm also going to do a little swapperoo too, and move some tanks around, and kind of get them in more attractive and advantageous places. So stay tuned for that. This tank I won't be breaking down. I wanted to let you know that it's starting to progress really well. I've actually pulled away quite a bit of frog bit, but it is absolutely overrun with frog bit. I'll let that happen on purpose just to kind of absorb nutrients and whatnot. I just cleaned the glass. I've been letting the glass go for quite a bit. I missed a spot right here. But what's interesting is the little baby shrimplets that I've been seeing, lots of these little orange baby shrimplets. They love to eat off that. So I never cleaned the back panel. Not that you can see it very well anyway, but I never cleaned the back. And sometimes I'll leave the sides and stuff too, because they really love to eat off this film that develops along the glass. Seems to be great. Of course, if you scrape it, then it all goes to the bottom or floats around the tank, and they eat it there too. But yeah, this plant here, this is dwarf sag, and it's finally starting to take off. A lot of the algae is starting to come off the abused plants and the Anubias and stuff, all those nice plants I was worried about losing because of just being overcome with algae. And a whole bunch of Java fern and stuff back here in the back that I don't care so much about. But yeah, overall it's actually starting to look really good in there. And I'm excited to kind of keep this going and see where it goes. And here we are at the face tank. You can kind of see why I call it the face tank. There's a face in the back of this. I did set this up around 2017. I think I reset it up after this show in 2017. But this has been going for quite a while. It's got this really impressive carpet of crypt parva, and most of the rest of this is I think it's called Zayu sword. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. I'll try to look that up and put it up somewhere. And it's got these weird giant Java ferns that are totally out of scale with this thing. It's been a really neat tank. I kind of need to repaint my face back there. It's starting to peel away, but it's done it in a really neat way. Having the inner layers kind of be a different color really gave it a lot of contrast as time went on. But I would like to maybe touch that up and make it look a little bit better. I don't have much in here, just some little blue-eyed rainbows. Some spotted blue-eyed rainbows that I will probably just move to another tank. They're really beautiful, though. There's the male showing off. There's also one galaxy rasbora that survived like a terrible catastrophe I had years ago, and I ended up draining the water like down to here, and somehow it's in here. I can't catch him. I've never been able to catch him, so that's going to be one of my tasks for this. This tank has been going for a really long time, and it does really well. It's got a little Aqua Clear 20 on the back of it. It's got this really nice fluval light that ramps up and down. I'll be moving the light over to the new tank. Yeah, but I'll be breaking this down. I don't know if I'll use this Java fern or not. I might just throw a weight on it and put it in my sump or something to grow out a little bit more in there. I am going to use this sword. The sword's got some dark spots here. I'm going to kind of trim it up. It's got some spots that don't look so good mixed in there. I'm going to take all that out and take the best parts of this and bring it over. It does really well. And then I'm taking all this parv and I'm going to add that to the carpet. So we're going to have kind of a Monte Carlo and crypt parva carpet going, and that should be interesting. This stuff did really well in my 55 when I did a dirted 55, so I'm hoping that it does great. This can be a really slow and tough plant to grow because it grows so slow, but it's been going in here like for 4 years. It's made it almost all the way across. It was just a little patch here on the corner, and since then it's grown all the way through here. And what will happen, it grows really dense too, so when I start to pull this out, you'll see that this will become like a much larger area once I spread it all out. Can't wait to see how much is really in here. It's so funny. This stuff grows so dense. You don't, like, this little chunk of plants is probably more than you would get in a similar chunk of plants at the store. So I'm excited to see how much I can actually pull out of here. And these plants too, like even if I don't have enough in here, or I can't find good enough, they grow so well in like every other tank. I think I'll have enough to have a really, really well planted tank. I think when it comes down to the why am I tearing down some of these tanks that have been, really fun builds over the years, I just get bored. I just get bored. I need to move some stuff around. It's really good to kind of shake things up once in a while. And I can't do new projects with you if I hang on to the old ones forever. So although this is really neat and stuff, I'm going to clean it up. I'm going to harvest all the good that I've done in here. I'm going to take all that and I'm going to pass it on to a new tank. Try some new things and see what comes of it. So I've caught as many shrimp as I can out of there. Well, I'm seeing more. As the water gets lower and lower, what I'll do is I'll take the water to right about here. And then I'll start removing things, and then I'll catch the rest of the shrimp that I can't easily pick up as I go. But right now, I just want to make a space to save all these great plants and kind of and get maybe some of this hardscape and stuff and salvage all that. And I'll get the last of the shrimp, get a little bit of the substrate. I'm keeping this crazy filter. It's funny, the pothos has grown all throughout the filter, so now the filter's covered in roots and stuff. I want to keep all of that in place for now until I figure out what to do with it. Maybe I'll use some of the biological material out of that filter to kind of help jumpstart this next thing. But I guess we'll see here in a little bit. It's time to pull out the giant Anubis. Now it's been constrained in such a small area for a really long time. This is original to this tank, and it might be attached. It might be attached to something, like a rock or something like that. I can't remember. Oh, there's wood back here. Okay, so there is some driftwood in this. Driftwood that's long since been forgotten about. I'm sorry, I'm having to hold this light so you can see it in a halfway decent manner, but let's see. It's also attached to rocks underneath here. So let me, with both hands, try to grab everything and see what I can get here. Alright, this might be my best view. Enormous. Alright, so this piece that's already attached to this rock so nicely, I'm going to just snip it off a little bit. This will be a fun little easy piece of aquascape to install. Rocks are far more effective anyway. What we got here, we got this rhizome connected right there. And that would probably be enough to keep this whole thing down. Like an expansive plant. Wow. Wow. That's a lot of plant for a little 5-gallon tank. How are we connected here? Is it loose? Is it tight? It looks like just this one spot. So I'm just going to keep that in place just to make it easy. I'll have to, of course, go back and get the Java fern and stuff off of there. A little piece that just broke off. Another random bit of Anubias. There's little bits of Java fern and stuff in there too. Little chunks of this thing just all over the place. Another little bit, wow, tons of little plantlets for Anubias everywhere. Now I think before the water gets too murky, I'm going to see if I can find any last minute shrimp. Then I'm going to grab this Monte Carlo out to use. I think I've got all the shrimp out. I think there's one more in here somewhere. I can't find them. I saw them for a second, then they disappeared. So let's see how this Monte Carlo comes up. See if this comes up easy or if it's a pain. It's not in there attached by much. I'm just going to put them in a little cup here. Put a little water in there. Let's start digging this up. That's pretty close. Definitely a lot of it. This is another one that grows really compact. I got some Monte Carlo to transplant. More difficult to see, but I'm just pulling the rest of the plants out and pulling them aside to be sorted later. There's quite a lot to go through. It's probably going to take me a while. A long night of sorting plants, probably. It's funny with tanks like this, you don't really, I can't believe I'm talking commentary over basically mud, but it's hard to believe really like how much is grown in here. And what I'm doing is I'm pulling these out really carefully so I get their roots and stuff in there. There's all kinds of runners and other things happening here. Not seeing a whole lot. Oh, well, I can't see anything, but I don't feel a whole lot more. Got a couple more. Oh, there's some Java fern. A little Java fern snuck in there. There's a little bit more in the back, on the side of the eyes. Now I'm going through and I'm just kind of getting these scragglers. I'll probably see some more when I go to pour the water out. I may or may not grab them up if they look like good specimens. I hate to waste anything. I mean, if nothing else, I could give some of this away. There are some things that I throw away, but for the most part, I try to keep all my recyclable items like rocks, hardscape, and plants. Plants I can grow. It's kind of a sustainable thing to throw those away once in a while, but anything halfway worthwhile, I'll try to keep and at least give to a friend. Alright, so I'm going to clean this up and get it out of the way, and we'll do a little movie move. And that's it. I gotta say, I am so happy that I brought this in here, that I did all that other stuff too. I put all those plants in a new aquarium that you're gonna see very soon. This is the one I've been talking about, but not showing anything about. But it's, I bought a 20-gallon at a swap meet in Chattanooga. There's a video for that. I got a great deal on a low iron glass 20-gallon tall. It's kind of a 20 tall with some rounded corners. It's a lot like the face tank was, but wider. And it's a rimless tank. I've discovered things like polycarbonate lids and stuff. Like I guess I didn't know that they existed. I was buying plexiglass and thinking that I was using the same stuff. It's not the same stuff. It's not. So I got that to tell you about, and of course setting up that whole tank. It's in its awkward stage. It's definitely in that teenage awkward stage, like right after you got your braces, 8th grade, and the weird haircut. That's what stage my tank is in now. But I thought this video might be interesting and something to kind of show you. It's definitely a part of the project, and it doesn't make the video too long. I think it's kind of therapeutic watching people pull plants anyway. It's also just occurred to me that I'm running at about a year on the anoxic aquarium, the 20-gallon anoxic tank, and a lot of people are curious about that. So I think next week actually might be a show on that. So we're going to talk about the anoxic aquarium. Currently, right now, I'm also working on the bio orb that I unboxed last week. I've gotten all my plants and stuff together in my hardscape, and I've got to do is like I'm going to mix up some substrate to add to what's in there, and I'm going to get it set up. It's coming real soon. So I got a few interesting things to talk to you about before we get to the 20-gallon, and I really want it to look good at the end of the video. I should have just done a setup. Might be a few weeks before I'm like ready to really show you. I've definitely learned that the ghost wood, and I don't know if you remember in Aquashella, that ghost wood that I bought. I bought tons of it. Like I bought huge pieces, like 4-foot long pieces, or I guess 3-foot long pieces of this stuff. And I'm gonna have to soak it a lot before I add it to another aquarium. I mean, that stuff is putting off tannins like crazy. Like it is. It's supposedly manzanita wood, and I've used manzanita wood a lot, but this is, I'm telling you folks, this is crazy. And I bought giant pieces of it. I'm just dealing with little pieces right now. I bought giant pieces of it. So if I want to redo the 210 and I don't want to deal with this, I need to start soaking it now. I actually went and bought a garbage can. Maybe we'll talk about all of that later. But I bought a garbage can specifically to soak giant pieces of wood in. So, all right. So next week I'm going to do the 1-year anniversary of the anoxic filter, and we're going to talk about that and how it's doing and stuff. If you haven't seen the setup for it, it's right here, and down below it, it's something YouTube thinks you'll like. That's the algorithm picking one of my videos for you. Weird. If you'd like to see more, don't forget to hit subscribe. I could really use your subscription. I'm on my way to 50,000, and I'd like to see you there. Talk to you later. Follow your bliss, keep a clean tank, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.